What's up, guys? My name is Roach. Today, I'm going to be telling you a story time about the first time I got caught smoking weed at school. So on this day, me and some buddies were smoking weed at these apartments. We were skipping class, classic normal thing that goes on in high school. So we were smoking actually 2 blunts at the same time. I'm pretty sure there was probably about 5 people all together. And it was a mix of boys and girls. So we're smoking these blunts, right? And it's a great time. We're all feeling great. We're all just having a good time, chatting back and forth. And then I get a call from my mom. My mom is on the phone, very, very upset. "What are you doing, Aaron? Get back to school. I know you're smoking weed." So I'm like, oh shit, alright. So we all kind of just put out the blunts. The one who bought the weed, I guess, they put the blunts underneath the cigarettes inside the cigarette container. So they stuffed them underneath, and we sprayed a little bit of like some stupid shit. It was like deodorizer, it was like a deodorant spray or something, but it really didn't do anything. We barely sprayed it on us. So we started walking back to school, right? And as soon as we get into the school, we go through this little entrance where the band stuff is. It's called the band hall. So we end up going through that entrance, and everyone starts immediately staring at us and talking about how we smell and everything, right? So we are like, oh fuck, we might be cooked, boys, and so we get past the band hall and we turn into the hallway, and guess what we see? We see about 20 security guard kind of thing. I don't know what it was. For some reason, they had security / police all walking in a row behind each other. They were in the military or some shit. They were walking in this formation, and it was kind of strange. But we start walking on the other opposite side of that hallway. As they're walking past us, we're walking past them, and they're all staring at us and looking back after we pass them, looking back at us, because we reek. We smell super crazy. And so we all just decide, okay, oh shit, they know that we smell really bad. And so we all kind of split up to try to differentiate everything. And so me and my friend, we go to our class period. We had this agriculture class. It was an outside building. And yeah, so we sat next to the front door together, and we were friends. And so we're in this class for probably 5-10 minutes, and immediately the teacher stands up and goes into the other room after a minute of me and this person sitting down. And so he goes and makes a phone call, and everyone in the class is talking. This is kind of a really, really it's gonna sound a little weird, but it's a really white kind of class. All the country kids and all the nice innocent kids that really don't do all that type of thing are in this class. So everyone's talking about it, and the teacher walks outside and then comes back in. And then 5 minutes later, the principal walks in the classroom and is talking to the teacher, acting like she doesn't know what's happening, right? And so me and this chick are like, oh fuck, we're screwed, right? She's about to pop us. So she talks with the teacher for 5 minutes, right? Making that small talk. And then she puts her hand on our shoulders. And she's like, I'm gonna need y'all to come with me. And so we're like, oh, okay. And so we start walking, and we are both like pretty stoned. We're a little paranoid at this point because we obviously know what's happening. And so she's walking us to the front of the school where the office building would be. Well, not the office building. She's walking us to the front of the school where the office is. And so we go into the office, and they have everyone in there. Everyone, besides maybe like one or two of the people that were in the group that we originally were with. There was probably about 3 or 4 of us in the office, all like caught, right? And so they all start like telling us that we know like you're high, we know you're smoking, like we know you have weed. So we're telling them we don't have weed. We didn't smoke. Well, we were just denying it, right? So we were denying everything, and they start one by one, individual, telling us to stand up and get patted down. So we all get patted down, and they start searching our stuff. And one of the officers, there was police involved and everything. One of the officers grabbed a box of cigarettes from one of the person's backpacks. And so they grabbed the box of cigarettes and gave it to the principal. And the principal was like, oh, you guys got cigarettes too. And so she was kind of a cool lady at the same time, I guess, because one of the cigarettes was flipped upside down. Like it was like the lucky cigarette thing that people do. And so she made a joke about that. She was like, y'all still do that where you flip the cigarette? And so we were kind of like, yeah, we still do that. You know, it's still a tradition or whatever. I didn't really smoke at the time, but yeah. And so she started sniffing the cigarette pack. And like I told you, the blunts were underneath the cigarettes. 2 of them. 2 half-smoked, burnt blunts, which obviously smell. You can kind of understand what I'm talking about. You ever walked around with a half-smoked blunt that's been put out? It smells crazy. It's obviously, it's gonna reek, like, really bad. And so she's sniffing the carton, like, really, really hard. And she's like, oh, well, I guess there's nothing, like, bad in here. And so they're like, okay, well, since if you guys are not gonna, like, tell us what happened, we're gonna take you guys in a room by yourselves and interrogate you in there. So we're like, all right. So they end up taking me in this room, and I get interrogated by this police officer, and he's telling me that I'm gonna be going to get kicked out and go to jail because I have the weed and blah, 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 blah. He's telling me that I'm going to be the one in trouble, even though I didn't have anything, I didn't have anything. I kept telling him that. I was like, hey, man, like, I don't have, like, any weed, like. And so he's like, oh, yeah, I bet you don't. Let me search your bag. So I'm like, okay. And so he starts throwing everything out of my backpack. He's, like, throwing all these crumpled up papers. By the way, I didn't really go to school very much, so if I did have work, I didn't do it. So I just had a bunch of crap in my backpack. And so he, at the bottom of my backpack, finds a empty Juul pod. It was like some off-brand Juul pod that I kept refilling with vape juice or something, like, you know what I'm talking about back in high school, how you refill them bitches. So I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? He's like, dude, you're gonna get a felony. You're going to jail. This is weed. This is what, and he even called out to the principal. He's like, hey, I found it. I found the cause of the smell. And I'm like, dog. And I told him straight up, I was like, yo, man, that's like a Juul pod. That's nicotine, and it's empty. It's not even full. Like, it's a jewel pod, dude. And he's like, no. I know what this is. I know what this is. This is marijuana. And I'm like, sir, that's literally a jewel pod. Like, you're tweaking. And so he's like, oh yeah? Oh yeah? You think I'm stupid? And I'm like, I'm not saying that, but I'm telling you what it is. So he's like, oh yeah, so I'm going to test it, and then you're going to go to jail, and you're going to have a felony. And I'm like, okay. You know, I'm at this point, I'm like, whatever, dude, you're fucking being crazy. So he tests it in this little baggie in front of me while looking at me intensely, telling me that I'm going to go to jail. And so I'm like, all right, man, like, I don't really know what you're talking about. So he's shaking it up in the little liquid, whatever. And then he's surprised that it's not weed, it's literally nicotine. And I'm telling him, yeah, I already tried to explain that to you, that it's not weed. And obviously that wouldn't smell either. And so he's like, all right, whatever. So I'm going to need you to write this statement. And I'm like, I don't really want to. And he's like, no, you have to. I'm like, oh, okay. So I end up writing a fake story, pretty much. I pretty much put it down as I was smoking with some random people I don't really know. That's what I said. I was smoking with, like, a bunch of people I don't really know. They have black and brown hair. And mind you, these people I was smoking with all had, like, dyed hair and, like, blonde hair and, like, you know, shit like that. They did not have black and brown hair. And I told them it was all men with brown and black hair, which is a lot of that school's population. And so it was mostly, like, girls with dyed hair. So it really didn't match any type of description, and just pretty much gave a list of tons of people that were at the school that had nothing to do with that. Because they all have brown and black hair, these random people that I put down. Like, I was just making up a fake story, right? So I write my BS statement, and then everything kind of, like, we get suspended, right? So we get suspended for, I think, 3 days, and then we end up having to go back to school for, like, 2 weeks to a month or something like that. We were in, like, OCS or something until we got transferred into this secondary school. And the secondary school is called Turning Point. And so that school is kind of where everyone goes if they get, like, into a lot of trouble, fights, weed, drugs, just that type of thing, right? Just kind of like the stuff that you can't do at high school, you get put there. So we get suspended for about 3 days, like, and in that 3 days before I come back to school, the people that I was smoking with, they said that I was the snitch because I was the only white person in the group. I think they kind of just put me in that snitch category. But I never snitched. Like I said, I wrote a statement that had nothing to do with any of the people involved in the actual story. So I just kind of, like, gave them what they wanted, but didn't give them any information, if that makes sense. So these people got caught from the camera because we obviously all came in at once and split off from that. So the camera got them, and they put me down as, oh, well, you snitched us out. And I said, no, I didn't tell them anything. Like, I don't really, I didn't have a need to. Like, what's the point, you know? Like, I knew I wasn't going to get in trouble, like, to the extent of, like, some bullshit. So there's literally no need. So I don't know what they're talking about. And so I get these text messages from all of these people that are kind of like friends with each other that were in this group, and they told me that I was going to get jumped because I'm a snitch. And I was trying to explain, like, no, I'm not a snitch. Like, I never said anything. And they're telling me that I'm a liar. So I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I got like 12 people that are trying to kick my ass. So I end up going to school, and I'm like kind of dodging all these people. Like, I'm trying to like hide out in, just random places. I just didn't want to get jumped for no fucking reason, obviously. So I end up kind of working it out with one of the people in like some way. I don't really remember, but I ended up like letting them know, like, yo, like, this is not true, like, at all. And it ended up kind of settling down, but we ended up getting OCS for a while, and that was that was actually really, really fun. That was some of the best time I've had in school, is just being in that OCS classroom with all these degenerate kids. And yeah, so we ended up being in OCS for actually way longer than expected. It was supposed to be like a week to 2 weeks. We were in there for like a month to 3 months or something. And then we ended up finally getting transferred over to the Turning Point School. And that was pretty interesting as well. You get like searched, like really, really searched when you get in there every day. And the teachers, it's kind of like if you cuss at them, they cuss at you back type of thing. The people are all very like, some of them are like drug addicts, some of them are just in there for like dumb reasons, some of them are in there for fighting and gangs and all this stuff. So it was a pretty interesting time. There was a kid who overdosed and put his face into his breakfast plate. Like, it was just pretty interesting. I had some good homies there, and it was a great time. I don't really regret it. I think it was kind of fun. Other than that, that's about it for this story. I hope you enjoyed my first time getting caught smoking weed at school. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.